All right, you're going to need to know how to find a number out of a visual. In this case, it's asking for a percent, okay? Now, percents might be easy to estimate, but they're very hard to find exactly from just a visual. So you might look at this and say this is a whole, and right here looks about half. So I know it's shaded a little over half, but that doesn't tell me exactly what number it is. It just gives me a direction to think about. Okay, what you can do from a visual is you can count exactly what fraction is shaded. All right. In this case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 boxes out of 4, 8, 12, 16 total. Okay, remember fractions are parts out of whole or part out of a total. Okay, and you have a couple options. You need to make this a percent, and you can do this several ways. You can take your fraction and convert it into a decimal, okay, and then into a percent. You can simplify your fraction, make it into a decimal and a percent. You already have a part and a whole, okay, part over whole equals what percent, and those are always over 100. You can solve for a percent using your proportions, and you have a part over a whole, so you can plug it in and find your percent. Okay, so if you're more comfortable finding decimals and moving it to make a percent, do that. If this makes sense to you and this is what you've been doing, do this, okay? Do what you're going to remember and think about doing on your test tomorrow. All right, if you converted your fraction to a decimal, you would have said, does 16 go into 1? No. 10? No. Let's add that decimal so we can get some extra zeros. 16 goes into 100 about how many times? You could make a top-bottom chart. Okay. Remember, those just list the multiples of 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to guess and check. I'm going to guess that 16 will go into 100 6 times. Okay. So over here, 16 times 6. 6 times 6 gives me 36. 6 times 1 gives me 6 plus 3 is 9. So that's really, really close without going over, okay? If it was a lot smaller, I would want to go up because you're trying to get as close as you can to that number without going over. Okay, so I did that 6 times. Take out those 6 16s. 100 minus 96 leaves me with 4. Drop another 0 because I'm not done yet. 16, I'm going to guess, goes into 40 2 times. 6 times 2 is 12. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. 32 is only 8 away, so that's as high as I can go. So 2 goes over my 0, minus 32. 40 minus 32 leaves me with 8. All right. One more. Let's see where we get. All right. 16 times... I'm going to try 5 because I know 5 times 6 gives me 30. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 gives me that 8 I need. All right, so exactly 80. So now we're done with our division. I'm going to come back up, and that 5 goes right over the 0 that we used last. So we have 0.625 as a decimal. To make it a percent, we use Dr. Pepper. Decimal to percent, I need to go 2 to the right. 1, 2. So as a percent, I'm thinking this is 62.5%. So I'm going to write it over here, hold it for later. Yes, percents can still have decimals in them. But remember, if you want to go back, you still have to move that decimal back. You can't just drop the sign off. Okay. If you did a proportion, you did, hopefully, 100 times 10 and then divided by 16. 100 times 10, we're going to rack up those zeros. 0 times anything is 0. So I have 3 up top. Placeholder, because I'm moving over a place, and then 1 times 0, 1 times 0, 1 times 1. Make sure you keep your stuff lined up. Add it all up, and we have 1,000. So we're doing 1,000 divided by 16. Looks kind of similar, right? There's just no decimals involved this time. Okay. 16 cannot go into 1. It cannot go into 10. It'll go into 100 6 times, because we already said 16 times 6 is 96. 100 minus 96 leaves us with 4. Drop your 0. Okay. We already said 16, the highest it can go is twice, because 16 times 2 is 32. Minus 32 leaves us with 8. Now I need my decimal, because I need a free 0. 16 goes into 80. We said exactly 5 times. Okay. And this is exactly our percent. We solved for a percent, so we do not have to move our decimal. All right. Either way, you're doing 2 steps. You're either doing decimal to percent, or you're multiplying and dividing. All right. But either way, you'll get 62.5%.